So I grew up in a dysfunctional home. My mother was addicted to prescription pills. My father was a workaholic. My parents were never really around growing up. And if the things that I went through were seeing a mother who was abusing prescriptions all the time, sleeping, not paying attention to us children, my dad working all the time to cover my mom's spending problems, that sort of thing. I ended up getting into addiction at a young age. I chose the wrong path. I got into juvenile jail. I was placed in jail just for things I was doing, crimes I was doing. So I ended up becoming pregnant now at this point and going home and telling my mom that I was pregnant and her telling me that I should have an abortion. I remember going to the doctor and on the bed, there's the black bed with the white paper on top, and him taking out a pen, drawing a circle and telling me my baby looked like that dot. It looked like a pen dot. And I believed him. And you know, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I thought this was the best decision for me. And like I said, I wasn't told that it would harm my body or anything. I just thought maybe, you know, I would do this and it'd be all over and I wouldn't have to think about it anymore. It'd be, you know, I wouldn't have to deal with anything, right? And I actually remember walking down the specific street in my hometown when my friend suggested adoption. And I was so selfish and so messed up from the drugs and alcohol that I thought it would be harder to give my own flesh and blood over to a complete stranger than it would be to have an abortion. So that is what I chose to do, was the abortion. I chose to end my own child's life through abortion. Addiction was so strong in my life that I chose addiction over the life of my child. My friend dropped me off and left, and I went in, and there's an elevator there, and I remember getting into this elevator and going up, and that's all I remember. I completely blocked everything out. I remember right after being in this hospital bed, and the only words that could describe how I felt was as if I felt fuzzy and numb. I felt as if I killed my soul. I remember right after this, they gave me a piece of toast and a juice, and pretty much that was it. They didn't talk to me. They didn't tell me that I'd feel a certain way or that I'd have any symptoms. I remember my friend came back to get me. I went back in the car. I sat in the back seat, and I looked like a piece of paper. I was so pale. And I remember the raw, painful cramps I had all the way home. But the funny thing is, it didn't take me long to get back into that drinking and drug habit. The shame and guilt of that abortion had really taken a toll on me. So I'm doing worse crimes and harder drugs. And you know, I was at the point where I just felt like I was worthless trash. I just basically lived for addiction at this point. I wish that women were told the truth about abortion. How come when you go in for a different kind of surgery or getting your tonsils removed or anything else, you get a list of side effects? How come you get paperwork that you have to fill out and you have to read through? With abortion, you're told nothing. I wasn't told after that I would be going through depression or that I'd have heavy bleeding. I wasn't told that I might have scarring in my uterus. There's a reason I only have 2 children. Of the scarring in my uterus, I had a complicated pregnancy. You know, these side effects were never discussed to me, and I think it is only fair that women are told the truth about these side effects. With all the trouble I was getting into and the pain I was in, I made a lot of more poor choices, but eventually I had this feeling to talk to somebody about it, and that was something that was really hard to do, because when you have so much shame and guilt, it's hard to open up about this to somebody, but I did. And this woman that I met happened to tell me about this retreat, and it was called Rachel's Vineyard. And this retreat was for women to go to that have experienced abortion to get help. You know, and I went to this retreat, and it was the best thing I could have did for myself. And I actually sat there and realized what I had done, and I received God's healing. That's how I got through all of this. So I just want people to know that if you're ever in this situation where you've been where I've been and you're faced with this shame and guilt, I want you to know that there is healing and that there's hope and that you're not alone.